With an exclusive press conference announcing the album release and tour date information for a new British band whose membership includes musicians who form the cornerstone of one of England's classic rock bands. They are Jon Anderson, Bill Bruford, Rick Wakeman and Steve Howe, now known collectively as Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
I first better mention
hello,
there's
everyone.
three voices there, and that is Jon Anderson, Steve Howe and Bill Bruford. Rick Wakeman is up in Edinburgh, Scotland today, looking after all the Scottish fans of this band.
Hello, everybody.
Well, before we give you the news of why we're here with this live press conference, I'd like to find out, first of all, how this band came together. John, if you will, Jon Anderson, tell us how this lineup of musicians came together.
Well, actually, last year, that was in 1988, midsummer, I was out in Greece and enjoying a little sojourn and writing some songs. I realized that I'd spent a lot of time in America, in Los Angeles, and that my main musical aims weren't being fulfilled. And I felt that maybe it was a good time to get back to the roots that I'd started in the 70s. And I just needed a couple of phone calls to find out if Steve and Bill and Rick might be just available to try out an idea or talk about music and just really discuss the potential of getting together again. And that's really how it happened. It was more a question of finding us all in the right space of time at the right time. So when we got in touch with each other, I think we all collectively realized that, hey, now was the time to work together again. And it just came about that way. It wasn't predestined. It was just something that started to happen. And as soon as you start the ball rolling and you realize it's coming from your heart, the idea, musically and from a career, professionally wise, you know, all the doors start to open, and that's basically what happened.
Well, I know that Coming Together has produced a debut album, which we're very excited to be playing some extracts from in a few moments. It's going to be released on Arista Records in the US on June 8th. Now, do you know what the catalogue number for that album is? Does it happen to be 90126, possibly?
Yeah.
All right, without more ado, let's announce the important US and Canadian tour dates. I think, John, you've got the first East Coast dates running through to Pittsburgh.
You've got the first couple of months there, John.
This is where we start round about the 29th of July, which sounds good because it's going to be nice and warm in midsummer. We're going to be down in Memphis, Tennessee, in a place called Mud Island. And then on the 30th of July, we're playing a place in Atlanta, Georgia, Chastian Park. The 31st, hey, we got a day off.
Yeah.
That's all right now.
Day off.
We're okay now.
Get some sleep.
And then the 1st of August, do I read all these sort of things?
Yeah, whip through them, mate.
Whip through them, he says. The 1st of August, we're going to play at Norfolk, Virginia, at the Sculp Arena. The 2nd of August, we're going to play at the Fairgrounds, York, PA. And then the 3rd of August, we're going to be in wonderful Philadelphia, which is sort of a homecoming, I think this will be for us to play there. We're playing at the Spectrum, so all you Philadelphians, hopefully there's one or two listening, come and see the show because I believe it's going to be wonderful. And then we're playing the day after on the 5th of August, we're playing the Merriweather Post, Columbia. I remember playing there many times.
Yeah, I remember hearing you play Close to the Edge there.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
With the Jon Anderson group.
That's true.
With King Crimson.
That's true, Bill.
I was performing upon the traps, drums, for King Crimson, and you were with the Jon Anderson group at the time,
true.
playing Close to the Edge, with a young gentleman in a black leotard on the drums.
Oh, yes. He's now an actor. Such a short life.
Moving right along now.
On the 6th of August, we're playing at Mansfield, MA. I don't know what MA stands for.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
We're playing at Great Woods of Mansfield on the 6th of August. On the 7th of August, we're going to go swimming. We're having a day off. And on the 8th of August, we're playing the Riverfront Park, Manchester,
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, he says. NH we got here. On the 9th of August, I hope somebody's got a pen in America and writing these now.
Well, we'll be able to tell our audience, people listening in North America and Canada, exactly how to find out when the concerts are on again, and also how to get their tickets later in the program.
Okay. Well, here we go again. On the 9th of August, we're playing at the Orange County Fairgrounds, Middleton, New York. On the 10th of August, we're playing Jones Beach in Wantagh, New York. And on the 11th of August, we're playing at Seashore EAC at Old Orchard Beach, ME. What's ME?
Maryland?
Maryland.
Possibly?
No.
On the 12th of August, we're playing at Hartford Civic Center. On the 13th of August, we're playing at Garden State Arts at Homedale, New Jersey. Come on, you guys, New Jersey.
Yeah, I've been there before.
And you got a final date in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, John, I think.
Oh, we're going to play at that pawn shop on the corner. Oh, no, sorry.
The flea shop.
Right.
No, we're going to play in the Palumbo Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I'm reliably informed Old Orchard Beach is in Maine, in New England.
That's right, that's on the 15th of August.
That's right.
So all you people who've got nothing to do in August, come and see the show.
Right. Well, coming from Pittsburgh, crossing the Ohio River, Bill Bruford, you've got dates for the Midwest.
Yeah, with John and Steve too, I hope.
Of course.
And
Maybe.
Rick also. The 16th, we're at the Blossom Music in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. 17th, Cuyahoga Country Fairgrounds, Weedsport, New York. I'm not, do you know Weedsport well, John?
Very well.
18th, Darien Lake, Darien, New York. 19th, Pine Knob. 20th, Poplar Creek, Hoffman Estates. That's a special place in my heart, that one, actually.
Sure.
It rained out the last time I tried to play that one. The entire northwestern part of Chicago had a major thunderstorm. No power, King Crimson cancelled. So, forgive me. 21st, off. 22nd, Toronto, Canada. Played there before. 23, Civic Centre, Ottawa. 24, Colisée, Quebec City, Canada. 25th, Forum, Montreal, Canada, which I remember with Genesis. 26th, 27th, off. 28th, the Summit in Houston, Texas. 29th, Starplex in Dallas, Texas, the big two.
Then, thanks, Bill. Moving north now, Steve, Howe.
Okay.
And you pick up dates in Kansas City, Missouri, I believe.
Okay, well, the 31st, we're at the Sandstone, Kansas City, and I remember looking out on my hotel room with a similar feeling to Bill, wondering if the rain is going to keep me from playing. I think we did actually get there last time. And then on the very 1st of September, we're in Red Rocks, Denver. I remember that very well from Asia. Park West, then Salt Lake City is on the 2nd. And then we have a day off, so I won't mention any more about that. And then on the 4th, we're at the Open Air Theater San Diego.
Yo.
So we're in California now, aren't we? And the 5th, we have a day off and nobody sees us, but we get time to rest. And then we get on to the 6th of September, and we're at the Greek Theater LA. Need I say more? And then the 8th is at the County Bowl, Santa Barbara. We're hitting California quite nicely here. On the 9th, then we're at the Cal Expo, Sacramento. And then on the 10th, we finish up, and the final gig on this leg is going to be Shoreline Amphitheater, Mountain View, California.
And what a great show that's going to be.
Sounds really good.
It does. Now, there are the dates. If you're worried you missed a date in your area, don't worry. The radio station you're now tuned to for information will have information on when tickets go on sale for the concert in your area. You're listening to a live press conference from London with Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe. I'm Mel Ridding. Let's now go back across the Atlantic to our New York studios for a special treat. Here is an exclusive preview of the Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe album that will be released on June 8th. Live in London from the Kensington Place restaurant, and that was an exclusive preview of the debut album by Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe. Wow, they're great tracks, and it's so good for you guys to be back again together. Steve, what's it for you? What does it mean for you musically to be back, and also, I guess, socially, to be back with mates of yours from a band that was really the founding father of classic rock in a way?
It was. What a build-up. How can I follow that?
Yeah.
It feels good, and full of expectations and full of promise. And, of course, it's nice to be in a situation with people that you knew and loved, and you're doing it again. It's an interesting experience. It's not something you want to do as a hobby, like trying to dig up everything you did and doing it again. But I think this opportunity is very, very special because of what we achieved together at that time, which was, for me, 70s to 80s, and John earlier, and Bill shorter, and that sort of thing. But generally, we were all mucking in there for that time. And, of course, coming back together, you remember some of that, and some of it flashes back. And hopefully it's going to be a nice apocalyptic sort of event,
right,
where we're coming back together, we're doing this, and it should give us all a good feeling.
Well, what has changed in music since the four of you? I know Rick Wakeman is up in Scotland, but I know he's here in spirit. He's up there entertaining the Scottish fans that will be seeing the band in concert there later on. But what has happened since you guys have been apart is technology has really revolutionized music. And Bill Bruford on drums, you've got a computerized drum system now that's incredible.
Yeah, well, let's just be careful with this nasty word, computer. I mean, what that sounds like I don't even show up at the gig. This is not
Cardboard
true.
cutout of you.
What a computer does is allow you to bring the 95 drums that Jon Anderson obviously would like me to play without having to have a separate 747 to fly them in. So a computer just stores tons of different drum sets and drum sounds which I can access just like that. Did you get that? So for me it's a very exciting challenge, these developments that I've been workshopping and woodshedding with my own bands over the last few years. Occasionally, once every decade, they spill over into mega rockdom, into rock and roll industry, and the rock and roll industry grows in size and says, "Oh no, not Bill again with his bloody drum set."
When John introduced the way that the four of you got back together again, he mentioned he made one or two phone calls.
One or two,
but actually, I think you were dragged out of bed in Tokyo, Japan for
I
this
was
gig.
minding my own business, in November in Tokyo, and suddenly, it's telex this and phone call that, and this bloke called Fred Anderson, Jon Anderson on your telephone.
Doing anything for the next 2 years, please.
Sure, and it just got me at exactly the right time.
Right.
I had a feeling that I was making sounds that were suitable for the big stage.
Well, despite this debut album about to launch itself on the world, this is not the end of the story at all. You've got a lot of work ahead of you, John. You've got rehearsals to come. This major tour you're getting ready for.
Yeah, actually, we're going to be seeing Roger Dean's design for the stage tomorrow, and Mike Tate is here, who was one of the real revolutionary lighting guys of the 70s, who worked very close with the band in its earlier, close to the edge times, fragile, topographic. That was Mike Tate on lights, and he's here today.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him for years, and...
well, you haven't, I have.
Well, you've seen him one or two times, but we haven't seen him, say, as a group, and I'm trying to hustle him to get the lights for this stage show, because one of the things that I firmly believe in is that this is a group of musicians that want to perform on stage. We've made an album of music. That's the most important thing. We made an album of musical ideas, and we want to perform them on stage and project on stage, bring them to life and make them really kick out on stage.
But now, you see, in 1989, this is the point, I think. For me, I'm not big on this nostalgia and this kind of reunion business too much. What I'm really interested in is the distance traveled between whenever it was, 68, 69 when we first met,
sure,
and 1989. So if we play any of the old tunes on the set, which no doubt we will, the interest for me is in how they've grown and changed.
Steve, Roger Dean, now he's working on the stage design. He's also responsible for the album sleeve. I know you've been working with him on previous albums, haven't you?
Yeah, Roger and I have had, quite a good relationship, and there's a bit of a giggle going on here, I can't ignore it.
What kind of relationship is that?
Yeah, that kind of relationship is that we're both married and got kids, and we're just good friends.
You've been working with him on previous albums in different bands.
It was very interesting. After actually stopped using him, I think, for going for the One and then Tomato, he then came back to do drama, and that certainly started Roger and I up again, thinking that working together was great fun, and then he did two covers, in fact 3 for Asia, one of which I didn't appear on, and then this is getting great. So Roger's a very unique artist, and he came through very strong with us, and it's not surprising then that we feel at home with him, pulling him back into work with this unit, because he's the right visual guy for us, and he doesn't have to say, with some projects he's done in between Yes and this present time, he's been asked to not look like Yes, you see. And Roger told me, oh, that was nice. Not on my head, thank goodness. The nice thing for Roger this time was that nobody said, purposely avoid it looking like Yes, and also it was impossible for it not to represent some of that imagery in his natural style. So, in his natural surroundings, so to speak, he's come up with two pictures which our radio audience unfortunately can't see, but
they're fabulous,
can,
though, aren't
and they're huge 9 by 6 paintings.
Speaking of Yes, radio stations and fans in the US are already calling this the new Yes band. What do you think about that, Jon Anderson?
Well, I think that when people hear the record and they'll see us on stage, they'll know who we are. And it's very difficult to have to go through this period of time where people say you cannot use the name. We never intentionally wanted to in the first place. We decided that we were going to be a group, and we were just going to call ourselves our names, and that was the way it was. I think the more we're told that we can't use the name from a business point of view, the more we feel, well, hey, it doesn't matter, because people will know who we are. And they'll hear it. They'll just hear it on the album.
The album was recorded in the Caribbean, right?
Actually, it started in Paris.
It started in Paris, and then you went to the West Indies or the Caribbean.
Montserrat.
And pieced together the album.
London.
And then back to London. And then
back to New York.
Mixed it up in New York at Bearsville. It was a round-the-world trip. It was a lot of fun to be able to spend time. See, the idea is that when we were working together on it in Paris, it's a very enclosed situation. We were there together, and then we could have a little break from each other, and then get back together in Montserrat, have a bit of a break again, work in London, have a bit of a break again, and then, mix it, and...
Sounds like we got a lot of breaks, John.
Yeah, we need it. Well,
because of the way we work intensely.
The thing I
work in big shots,
The thing I feel from you, John, though, is this thing's been bubbling up inside of you for about 5 years, don't you think?
True.
I get the feeling that you've been sort of hovering and lurking at the background.
Waiting for that moment
Waiting
in
somehow
time,
for something to happen.
It was a surprise for me. I've said this before, that when we've been meeting on and off over the years, me and Bill and Steve and Rick, and it was just a very big surprise for me that I'd actually plucked up the courage to ask them to get involved again, because it's not an easy thing to do collectively. You've got to down tools on a lot of projects individually to make the collective idea work.
Sure.
And now we're talking about going on tour. It's a big thing to do together, and it's something that we know we've got to pull it off for our own peace of mind, if you like.
That whole idea of you recording separately and together in different parts of the world, that's something that's run through your careers. So when you worked together before, you were always individuals within a group framework, weren't you?
Yeah.
I think so. For me, 18 years ago, or whatever it was, that made the group very difficult because of very strong characters and strong characteristics in the group. And I think it's just infinitely more relaxing now, but that's probably a change in myself, having learned to be a bit more flexible, which means I'll do anything, guys.
We've all become very flexible, very sort of rubbery.
We had a sneak preview, an exclusive sneak preview on the West of One radio networks of the new album.
That was just a little clip.
Just a snippet.
Just a clip here, a clip there, just to give a taste of the sound and the effort.
Consciously or unconsciously, do you think you've tried to put a trademark on it of sounds, of lyrics, John?
It's a natural event.
Yeah.
You make music and you cannot stop it. It just, all of a sudden, songs that Steve would bring and I'd sing, and then all of a sudden build rhythm ideas musically. It wasn't difficult to make the music. That's not the difficult part. Probably the difficult part, if there is going to be one, is performing it and making it sound fantastic on stage. But to put the record together was a lot of fun.
What songs are you going to be performing? Have you worked the set out yet?
Actually, we're going to talk about that in the next couple of days. And one of the things that we really spoke about when we first got back together to talk about touring and stuff was, if there's any chance of doing things like Close to the Edge, Starship Trooper, I've Seen Other People, these are the songs that we wrote together. And there's a feeling we should perform them, and we should really get it together. And so it'll be half the music we did with the Yes in the 70s, and half will be the new album. And that's the kind of show we'd like to do. Obviously, I think you've got very individual talents within the group, so that there'll be certain times that Steve will want to perform by himself, Rick will do the same, Bill will do the same. And I think it's important, a little bit.
That suits me well, because that's how you get the measure of the distance traveled.
Sure.
So you hear something that was designed 20 years ago, and you see how it's treated now, and then further on, you get some of the music that was designed yesterday, and you hear that. So you get, one of the nice things about having been around for 20 years, you can get that kind of longevity across a set of music.
Great. Bill Bruford, Steve Howe, Jon Anderson, thanks for joining us in London here at the Kensington Place restaurant. Sorry that Rick Wakeman couldn't make it down from Scotland, but he's there in spirit, entertaining the Scottish fans who'll be seeing the band playing Edinburgh, right? Scottish National Exhibition Centre, I think it's called up there.
Yeah, we're going to be up in England doing stuff in Scotland
and Europe,
across in Europe.
And
thanks a lot, Mel, too, from all of us.
Pleasure.
Yeah, Mel.
Great. He's a pro.
Pleasure. Now, what's the show going to be called? Are you going to give it a name, or are you just going out as your individual names?
Well, I think that from a publicity point of view, there was a definite feeling that we can't lie to the audience. We're going to go over there and perform some music in America and in Europe and the rest of the world. A lot of it will be Yes music, and I think that they should realize. It's a funny thing. If we say we're not going to play Yes music, then there's a possibility that a lot of fans wouldn't come and see us. But if we say we're going to play some Yes music, there's a possibility that we're going to get into a little trouble. But all we're thinking about is playing good music. Some of it will be that we wrote in the 70s, and a lot of it will be the new album. So, and possibly a lot of it will be adventurous stage presence music.
Jon Anderson, thanks very much. And thanks to the three of you for telling us about your debut album and the United States tour, which begins in Mud Island, Memphis, Tennessee on the 29th of July. Be sure to listen to this station for ticket information for the concert in your area. Many thanks to Brian Lane, Pete Smith, ably assisted by Diane and Sheila, and thanks also to the engineer at this end, Aidan Gregory. For the Westwood One Radio Network's executive producer Norm Pattis, producer Andy Denmark in New York, David Knight in London, and thanks to Warren Vanderveer, Steve Jenkins, and Steve Soul. And finally, my biggest thanks to the boys in the band, Jon Anderson, Bill Bruford, Rick Wakeman, and Steve Howe. Watch them on tour in the States this summer.